Hello and welcome. If you've ever flown and found yourself dealing with unexpected changes, like a switched seat or a delayed connection, you're not alone. These things happen to just about everyone who travels by air, whether it's your first trip in years or your 10th this month. And the good news is, most of the time, it's not because you did something wrong or because the airline is out to get you. It's just the nature of how flying works today. I'm here to share some straightforward insights into those behind the scenes realities that airlines don't always explain upfront. Understanding them can make your next trip feel a little less chaotic and a lot more manageable. Let's start by acknowledging that air travel is built on a massive, intricate system. Airlines are juggling thousands of flights every day, coordinating with airports, weather patterns, crew schedules, and countless other factors to keep everything moving as efficiently as possible. Their priority is getting planes in the air on time and safely, which means the setup isn't always designed with crystal clear communication for passengers in mind. That's why some things that seem frustrating or random actually follow a logic once you peek under the hood. Knowing this doesn't magically fix every issue, but it does help you prepare mentally and adjust your expectations in a way that keeps stress at bay. One common surprise for travelers is when your seat assignment changes without any warning. You might have picked that perfect aisle seat weeks ago only to find out at the gate, or even on the plane, that it's been reassigned. Why does this happen? Well, airlines use sophisticated software to manage seating, and it's constantly optimizing based on a bunch of variables. For instance, if a family needs to sit together, or if there's a last minute equipment swap, meaning they switch to a different plane with a slightly different layout, the system might reshuffle seats to balance things out. Sometimes it's about accommodating passengers with special needs, like those requiring extra space or assistance. And occasionally, it's tied to revenue. Premium seats might get held back for upgrades or sales closer to departure. The key thing to remember is that while your original choice isn't guaranteed until you're actually boarded, most changes are minor and don't affect the overall flight. If it does bother you, politely asking at the gate can sometimes lead to a fix, but going in with the awareness that flexibility is part of the deal makes it easier to roll with. Speaking of changes, let's talk about ticket prices and why they seem to jump around so much. You've probably noticed that the cost of the same flight can vary wildly from one day to the next, or even within hours. This isn't random. It's driven by demand forecasting algorithms that airlines use to maximize revenue. They divide seats into different fare buckets, basically groups of tickets priced at various levels. And as seats sell, the system adjusts prices in real time based on how many people are booking, what time of year it is, competition from other airlines, and even broader trends like fuel costs or events in the destination. For example, if a route suddenly gets popular because of a conference or holiday, prices climb. On the flip side, if bookings are slow, they might drop to fill the plane. The unpredictability comes from the fact that these systems are reacting to live data, so checking prices at different times or from different devices can show variations. A practical takeaway here is to book when the price feels right for your budget, rather than waiting for some perfect low, because waiting too long might mean missing out entirely. Tools like fare alerts can help, but ultimately, recognizing that prices are fluid helps you make decisions without second guessing every fluctuation. Now, overbooking is something that raises a lot of eyebrows, but it's a standard practice in the industry, and understanding it can demystify what happens when a flight is full. Airlines know from years of data that a certain percentage of passengers won't show up, maybe due to missed connections, changes in plans, or no-shows. To avoid flying with empty seats, which costs them money, they sell a few more tickets than there are actual spots. Most of the time, this works out fine because the predictions are accurate, and everyone boards without issue. But when more people show up than expected, the airline looks for volunteers to take a later flight, often offering compensation like vouchers, meal credits, or even cash. If no one volunteers, they might have to bump someone involuntarily, following rules set by regulations that prioritize things like how early you checked in or your fare class. It's not ideal, but it's rare. Statistically, only a tiny fraction of flights end up oversold to that point. Being aware of this means you can check in early online to improve your standing, or if you're flexible, volunteering could turn into a nice perk. Either way, it's about the system's efficiency, not a plot against passengers. Another area where things can feel inconsistent is carry-on baggage rules. You know the drill. Airlines have size and weight limits posted, but enforcement seems to vary from flight to flight or even gate to gate. This comes down to the practicalities of each situation. On a full flight, gate agents might be stricter because overhead bin space is limited, and they want to avoid delays from having to check bags at the last minute. If the plane is smaller, like a regional jet, the bins might not fit standard rollers, so rules get applied more rigorously. Crew members are trained to prioritize safety and smooth operations, so if they see a bag that's borderline and the flight's packed, they'll err on the side of checking it. Weather or route specifics can play a role too. If there's turbulence expected, they might want fewer loose items. The why here is all about keeping the cabin organized and the boarding process quick. To navigate this, measure your bag against the airline's sizer before you leave home, and pack light enough that checking it isn't a big deal if needed. It's not about catching you out. It's about making the flight work for everyone. Tight connections are another reality that can catch people off guard. Airlines sell itineraries with short layovers, sometimes as little as 30 or 45 minutes, because their scheduling software calculates the minimum time needed based on average airport layouts and historical data. But life isn't average. A delay on your first flight, even by just 10 minutes, can ripple through and make you sprint or miss the next one. These ripples happen because flights are interconnected. Your incoming plane might be coming from somewhere else that's delayed by weather, maintenance, or air traffic control. Airports are hubs where everything has to align, and when one piece is off, it affects the chain. International trips add layers like customs, which can vary by crowd size. The system sells these connections to offer more options and keep costs down, but it assumes ideal conditions. Practically building in a buffer of at least an hour or more for domestic and 2 for international gives you breathing room. If you're booking through the same airline, they often rebook you if you miss due to their delay, but knowing the ripple effect helps you stay calm when things shift. And that brings us to why your timing at the airport can sometimes feel more crucial than the flight itself. Airlines recommend arriving 2 hours early for domestic and 3 for international, but it's not just arbitrary. It's tied to how the whole operation flows. Security lines fluctuate based on time of day, passenger volume, and even staffing. Baggage drop-offs have cutoffs to ensure bags make it to the plane, and boarding starts well before departure to load efficiently. If you're late, you might miss those windows, even if the flight hasn't left yet. Plus, unexpected things like long walks between terminals or additional screenings can eat up time. The emphasis on timing is about preventing bottlenecks that could delay the entire flight. Arriving with margin allows for coffee or a relaxed wait, and it positions you better if any hiccups arise. It's one of those areas where a little extra preparation pays off in peace of mind. As we wrap this up, think about how all these elements tie together. When you're informed about why seats shift, prices change, overbookings occur, carry-ons get checked, connections tighten, and airport timing matters, you're less likely to feel caught off guard. Informed travelers tend to stay calmer in the moment, adapt more easily to changes, and avoid the kind of frustration that comes from assuming everything should go perfectly. Knowledge doesn't wave a wand and eliminate delays or disruptions. Those are part of travel. But it does cut down on the confusion and stress that amplify them. So, as you plan your next trip, whether it's a quick domestic hop or an international adventure, carry a bit of patience and flexibility along with your passport. Approach it with the awareness we've talked about, and you'll find the journey smoother overall. If you know someone heading out soon, maybe pass this along. It could make their experience a little easier too. Safe travels, and I'll catch you on the next one.